Hey friends, I'm live, I guess. I'm at the speaker's corner, and if you can see my reflection down there, you'll notice I have a rig. You see that? A rig. Thanks very much, Drew. Thanks very much, Joe, for your contributions. I hope that the audio comes through well. There's Ronald. Hello, Ronald. All right, mate?
Well,
All right.
well.
I'm all right, thanks. How are you? That's a firm old grip for an 80-year-old man. Oh. Still got it on, my friend.
Yeah. Well,
You still got it?
still got it.
Yeah. You like my microphone? Pretty handy, huh?
You'll be I'll be at the carnival tomorrow.
Oh yeah, Notting Hill, is it?
No, yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, okay, good. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Have a good one.
You did well.
Thanks.
Come up the station, the Benidorm.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been doing some gardening out in the
Where my
sunshine.
son and me have got our villa in Alicante.
Have you? Oh, right. I could do with a place to live for a few months if you've got any rooms.
Well, you have to get on the internet to my son, Jason.
My wife and I are leaving our house in a month's time.
Oh, yeah?
So we're throwing our.
I've seen you somewhere. You've been on television, I think.
Well, perhaps I've been on television.
But you won't discuss who you are. And you look like something like Alfie Bow,
Oh, really?
the opera singer.
Ah, I wish I could sing like him. I wish I could
One
sing
of my
like him.
favourites. I got him on my tapes
Okay.
and all that. You know
All
what I mean?
right.
I've seen you somewhere. Fighting hiding behind that beard.
Don't tell, eh?
It'll come to
It'll
me.
come to you, and I'm sure it will. Nice to see you again, my friend.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
Say goodbye to Elvis.
All right. Goodbye, Elvis.
There he goes.
Cheers, mate. Hey, friends. I'm in the park. It's not too busy at the moment.
World champions. We Pakistani. We are doing what?
I'd be interested for some feedback on the audio at some point, not just yet. This guy's interesting.
Iraq, it's not a comparison. People in power, Kyle, and yet Britain is choosing the wrong people in power. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Not necessarily. So the people right now are the right people in power.
I'm not interested in who they're choosing. I'm interested in the way they're choosing. And the fact that they're choosing at all. And they could have the power themselves.
That's crap.
You're not choosing other people to have power for them.
You're not satisfied. You're not satisfied with what's going on now. Is that correct?
Is there anyone?
Good. Good. Let's stay with that. The people in Britain chose those people to rule them. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. It's not as simple as you're making it out. Okay. For example, we didn't choose the head of Barclays Bank. He's running one of the most powerful banks.
Choose the prime minister.
We didn't choose the.
The Conservative Party chose the prime minister. We didn't choose Boris Johnson.
Exactly. There's it. Oh yeah. Let's just narrow it down and just think in very conventional politics. Even on a conventional level, Britain's not really democratic. I mean, Boris Johnson was not chosen by the British people. If that's your definition of democracy, choosing your leader, then we're not even democratic by that measure.
Yeah, it's a monarchy.
Mob rule. Mob rule.
it's a monarchy.
All I need to do is convince the largest number of people that the next guy coming in is the best one for them, and it doesn't matter how brain dead they are, they will vote for that person. So it's mob rule democracy today, I'm afraid.
Democracy requires more than just voting majority rule, because you're right. Just because a majority of people are deciding something doesn't make it right. It could still be a bad decision.
But you want the people to choose, and yet you say that just because the majority says so doesn't make it right.
Not necessarily. For example, you might have a town which decides to kick out all the Muslims.
He won't change that one.
You might say we don't want any more Muslims in our
Trying
town.
to
It's a bad
educate
decision.
people to understand
If it means
what the position
dispossessing
of the
Muslims of their homes, to leave. And that's violating basic human rights.
Airplanes approaching him are rising. He doesn't understand perspective.
No,
I'm
this
hoping
time
he's going to
question.
study.
He's not interested in the Air
What he's saying. He wants the people to choose.
There's a system that bans
Is there a zoom function on this phone?
But here, but this place has become. Hello, my friend. Oh, nice to meet you. Do you
Hi,
speak
hi,
Portuguese?
hi.
No.
No, it's Portuguese, I'm afraid.
This lady is Portuguese speaker.
Oh, okay.
Her English. Oh yeah, he believes the Earth is flat. That's his philosophy.
Well, I say it's not a globe. I say that gravity is.
The world is
doesn't
flat.
work.
That's what he
Gravity
believes.
is not real.
She believes in thinking about the cosmos and the big skies.
Okay.
This is her philosophy. She's
You
not
mean like
into
the
religion.
stars?
Yeah, because most of the people are inside the
Senorita, he's
box.
filming you. You'll be on YouTube tonight. He
Okay.
films.
Say big up the channel.
My English is not perfect.
No, but
English
it
is
doesn't
perfect.
matter. Everybody here is like this.
We're not yet. Yeah, there's lots
I
of
just
people
think
in-
everybody's
this
inside
gen-
one box,
this
okay? They can
gentleman-
only you have a life here
This-
and you're gonna die, it's finished. It's not like that. Have 100 billions of planetas.
Watch on
like,
YouTube.
You need
is
to
it?
ask him more about
need to ask-
life. Where you come from, why you are here, where we going, and I believe that religion is only are made
she's saying
for
it's to
separate people.
Cause
to keep
friction.
people apart.
Yeah, people apart.
Yes,
yeah.
to separate people,
Yeah,
divide people.
that's the plan of the system, and they work very well.
Yes.
You have
Have you heard the expression divide and rule, divide and conquer? To keep people, if you keep them separate, then they won't
That's
be very
what you
strong.
said.
It's not for being strong. It's just because we together we have a lot of power.
Yes.
And they don't want to have power because if you have power, they're gonna lose the control
No, he means
over us.
the one
Okay,
you
who's
said.
they? Do you know?
The one you
Yes, I
said
know,
that
but who is
she doesn't want to get on your
wanna
film.
say-
me trouble.
No, you know what? No, let me tell you what we think. Let me hear what we think. We think that the entire edifice of government, all religion from the Vatican down, and all government from the British Parliament, the American government,
Entiendes?
all
Be
control
careful.
the Russians, the Chinese.
Of
They're
course they
all
do.
in the same
Of course,
bedroom.
yes, but that's
They're all
true.
making decisions together to keep the people at war with each other,
Yes,
whether it be through religion, through borders, through
I agree.
nationality.
That's completely right.
Vatican
No,
is
if you
Filipinos.
bought, and nobody tell you you are British, you are Brazilian, you are Spain,
Yeah.
what are you gonna think? You think I'm a person? You are a person?
A man, a woman. That's
Be
it.
friends.
But
That's all it-
the system have one program they put on your mind from you.
The great agenda.
Born, no? Like one program, and then you have to then want to put this program in your head because it's necessary to control us.
Why do you think they want to control us?
First things, we women always want more. Okay, want a car, two car, house,
always
more,
like
more,
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 more, nice
And
things.
this 11, this person are right now. They don't want a car, more. They have everything. Now they want the universe, and they think they can own the universe.
They want a slave
And
race.
it's not possible, but they keep on trying because they don't want. That's why exists pact, exists no.
You know, the thread of
sacrifice to
her
these
thinking
things,
is correct.
Because in the end, the plan is on the universe.
They plan?
The plan.
Their
are,
objective is to own the universe.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. What about if the universe was you and they wanted to own your mind totally? That's all they want. Not you personally, but every one of us.
Every person.
They want to own the universe by owning your universe because actually that you carry the whole universe in you.
Yes.
And each of us carries the universe in us because we are, each of us, the creator of this world. But increasingly over the centuries or over the last 5 decades or so, they've increasingly been able to control your universe. Who you think, what you think, what you're able to, what you consider yourself to be. So most people today think that they are simply a stain on the globe. They're bad for the planet. That most people shouldn't be allowed to have children anymore. All this kind of thing. Rather
It's
than
all a plan of them.
They are the elite, aren't they?
Everything is
The
like
elite.
one plan,
The
and
elite.
the plan work very well. You can see.
There's a big picture out there. There's a big picture.
But it's I don't know which words I can use to explain it. It's a little bit complex.
The 1%.
No, you
Well-
say it in simple words.
Yes,
We'll
they-
understand.
They just have one plan to control us, to own the universe, because we are the universe.
She's
I agree
basically
with you.
saying there's a grand structure
and the
that
religion,
wishes to control
the religion
all the
is
masses.
part of the plan of Matrix.
other
Biblia
words,
is part
it's the-
of the plan
in
of
other words,
Matrix.
it's the elite.
Everything's all
Talking
bullshit.
about the elite,
And the
aren't we?
presidents are together. It's everything's one theater, one show, And we are so stupid.
Did you realise-
to believe in every show? Then.
Don't forget the media as well.
Because in the end, the
realize-
love is the power of everything.
Love is-
is the power.
Love is the main power.
Yes,
yes.
that's
But
why
do you
John Lennon.
realize-
That's why they killed John Lennon, Martin Luther King,
In a
Gandhi,
Gandhi.
so many others.
You have
because
L,
of
EL in elite, don't you?
Because of
Yes.
them, stop. Because of them, want to show us how love is, what love is, you know. And if them know the
They don't
power
want to.
of love, and they needed to kill this person.
So what if each of us was like a little vibration, and they could affect your vibration such that they could lower your vibration, or we could raise our vibration by love.
This
We
is
raise
a
our
philosophy.
vibration
Yes.
by fear and anger and so on. We lower our vibration. So when we fight with other religion, other country, and
Yes.
so on, we lower our vibration.
Yeah, then it's
And-
easy
and-
to control.
And so the lower vibration is easy to control, and also it also damages God. Actually, it damages the Creator, because the Creator is meant to be this higher vibrating being or entity, whereas we've become these lower vibrating. In the Bible, they talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. They talk about people living in gambling and drug addiction and casinos and all of that sort
To make us busy. They need to make us busy.
keep us busy.
Keep us busy, yes. Keep
They
us
want to
busy.
keep us busy
Yes,
and distracted.
Distracted, yes. You
and
don't have time
fearful.
to think about
And worried, because when you're worried, you're living in your lower energy chakra
Yes.
rather than in your higher being,
You
beautiful
become
soul.
demoralized,
Yeah,
weak,
you're not good to
easier
your
to
neighborhood.
control.
You're not good to your neighbors.
Brainwashed
You're
by the
actually,
media. The
Brainwashed
media is
by-
the biggest brainwashing out there.
media is the tool of the system.
And the YouTube has
yes, media is
Smashed it
media,
up.
Catholics, everything's
Yeah.
together.
In the Middle East, used to be a country called Medea, and Medea was a place where they tricked people.
Or media.
And of course they used Hollywood. The Druids used to use the wood of the Hollywood tree, to make their wands to cast spells.
Yes.
So Hollywood is just a spell casting machine, as is the BBC, to try and keep people in this idea of.
and this has busted it. The
This is
YouTube.
starting to break it down, and it's people that are starting to put together enough research and insight to understand that actually we are meant to be the sovereign, divine beings at the top of the pyramid. There should be no queen.
Yes,
king
right,
or
exactly.
government.
Because I was talking with him about the experiment, the scientific experiment, I don't know how to say this in English, dupla fenda. I think
She's
he's
talking about an experimental procedure. I don't
sorry,
know.
I needed to.
She's saying in her language, I don't even understand that.
That's
Duplo.
all right,
Dupla
that's all right. How are you
fenda.
doing? My channel's called Trinity 4. I have my own channel called Trinity 4.
I've seen you.
Around?
I saw you on YouTube
It's
debate
the
Shamsi.
experiment.
Not debate.
It's
Oh,
this
have a
one.
chat with Shams. Yeah, Shamsi's good. Yeah.
I think you know the experiment. Probably
Oh,
you
double
do.
slit. Yeah. So everything must be a wave. Can't be particle physics as
Yeah,
well.
it's not particle. Everything's waving the particle at the same time.
Yeah, I had a DMT experience, ayahuasca. You heard
Yes,
of ayahuasca
yes.
from South America? You must.
Yes.
So the DMT experience, I had that, and I could see that everything was a wave,
Yeah, you-
electrical. Everything's
yes,
electrical,
yes,
not
that's-
particle. So everything is an electrical system. This is an electrical system, and we're meant to be positive electrical
This
systems.
open
in
us
balance.
a mind for another dimension. So you can say another dimension. because
So
I
you're
know
saying
what-
positive and negative ions.
Well, everything is electrical.
Are in a
So,
flux.
so there is a positive and negative requirement. It's almost like this system needs
So
anger.
we're
it
like
needs-
in the dark, in a
Yeah.
complete flux and not
Well, what-
understanding what's flowing how.
What if the dark needs the light and the light needs the
Yes.
dark? Actually, and
Just
so
like
in
the
order to
yin and the
make us,
yang.
yeah, in order to make us and take us along a journey of self-discovery, so that we become higher, that we start to get out of the lower chakra energy stuff, and we start to go into the higher head energy stuff. We need to go through trials and tribulations. We need hard times. And I think partly the system
Maybe
is
that's part
designed
of life's
to create the hard
experiences.
times, but you should be taught that you are the divine spark of the Creator. So
Yes,
you are
yes.
like God's child. You are God itself, having an expression, if you like. And you should be given that knowledge so that you go and learn how to be the best version of yourself, rather than the science that teaches you that you're just an evolutionary monkey that came out of a Big Bang and all this sort of stuff. If you realize that you are God or the Creator's
Yes,
expression
we
here,
are God.
then you learn to live your life.
How does
extremely
your
well.
this
I agree completely with
this,
you in
thank
everything
you,
you talk.
thank
I know. I just don't know how to
Express it?
express it.
Okay.
But
Is
I
there
know
more
I
commonly
studied about
known-
it. I
She's still learning. her
have
English.
the I have
Everyone's
proof
still
as well
learning.
because now I experiment everything I learn with myself,
Okay.
and everything works exactly how you see. So my life before. I was like crying, asking for help, and what people don't know, the only person can help ourselves is us.
You gotta be
And
self-reliant.
it was always like, oh God, look at me, oh God, help me, oh God. And then when I
gotta help
realized the
yourself.
truth, I was like,
You're the savior.
I wake up and say, come on, change now. And then everything was changed like from 90 to the day. Unbelievable. So suddenly, I was like many years, over 10 years sober. And like in 1 week, everything was sorted out. Things like I was waiting over 10 years, asking for help.
Fantastic.
First things, I was very sick. I have a headache, like chronic, like 1 week no stop. I've been many doctors and I did Scania, like Hansonosis, to say inside. No one's going to tell me what's happening. It's emotional. It's not inside. And then I have a breath problem. I need to sleep
With a mask.
mask every night because I couldn't breathe. And everything's going just by one thing. One thing, and it's gone.
Yeah,
it's not
all
there
in
anymore.
your mind. State
It's not
of
there.
mind.
It's not there. It's not there. I just was thinking. I don't ask. I want it's going because I was asking. I want it's gone.
Yeah.
Please help me. Take it away from me.
Then
No, I
you
just tell
did it.
it's gone already. And thank you because you need to do it. Thank you. Thank you for it's gone. It's gone and it's just gone. It's just gone. It's seconds. My friends. I was with me in the room this day. I was like in bed with my two hands in my mind and I was crying like, and then I just was thinking like, it's gone. And then I was starting crying for happiness, and she didn't understand it. He said, "Still have
Realize how
pain."
powerful you are.
Okay. I just know I'm crying because it's gone. But it was so emotional for me. And then many other things happened, but I don't want to tell everything here. But it's just one for a small example, compared so many another stuff. And I help with friends as well with this stuff. My friend, she was pregnant, she lost the baby, like abortion. And she was crying, go to hospital, and she called me, come here, help me. And I go to hospital, she was like, I'm going to lose my baby. I thought, no, you don't. It's okay, listen to me, tell me, speak with me now. My baby is healthy. My baby is healthy. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. I'm
Be
okay.
positive.
Everything. No, so just be positive. You have to feel it's done.
Believe. Believe.
It's just to be positive and speak it doesn't work. You need to feel it's done. And then I told her, and then
believe
when
in it.
doctor come here again, they tell you you're gonna lose your baby, you are sick, diabetic, etc. You told no, I am healthy, yes. And then, later when you home, you call me. She don't go home later, you do. And then she later go, I'm home, and the doctor don't understand what happened because I'm healthy, my baby, everybody, everything's okay. And then it's so many stories happen.
Tell her your
So
name.
you've been doing a bit of this. Helping
your
I
channel
try
name
to help as most
so
people
she
I
can
can, but
check
not
you out.
everybody believes it's hard
No,
because
Trinity.
now I'm considered alone, not lonely, but alone, because the people is inside my box, and then when you tell the truth, you force people to go out of your comfort zone,
Yes.
and it makes people scared and
They want you
uncomfortable,
to-
and they don't
they
want
want you
listen.
to follow them.
And it then just block contact with me immediately. But I'm not feel bad.
But be
I be
careful.
thankful because who is next to me is who believe in what I believe and they believe in what I live. That's important for me. It's not easy, but it's easy. Not easy at the same time. But I love it. I love to know the truth because I ask it too much. I ask. There now I get the answer.
Yes, wow.
Now I know who I am. I know where I come from, and I know where I'm going.
What's your name?
My name is no positive.
Tomorrow it will be on YouTube.
No, I'm live.
It's Trinity. What is it? Trinity 2 or 3?
What's happening with your phone?
Well, my phone's got broken
Oh,
here.
I like it.
Thank you.
I have
You have a similar thing.
no similar. It's for me. It's for me.
Yeah, my phone got badly broken.
No, no similar.
Believe in similar ideology. Both of you.
Yeah.
But he believes in the flat earth.
Well, I think that the Earth
But
is...
just me asking you one thing.
Yeah.
So the things I don't like to expose myself is because I want to help more people.
Yeah.
I want to try to. That's why I'm here studying English because I want to go travel the world. I can share the things I know. I can because 10 people don't you speak 10 people, 9 people don't listen to you, but one will make me happy. And if we talk too much, somebody gonna try to stop you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I said be careful,
You understand what I
señorita.
mean?
Yeah.
If you expose yourself,
Yeah.
somebody gonna try to stop you.
Señorita.
You know it.
Yeah.
You know, and you do this video, no really make people wake up. If you put this YouTube, because YouTube have 1,000 videos already, and
Yes.
people don't give a shit.
Yes.
People listen to you like that.
Yeah.
Face
That's
to
why I
face.
come to the speaker's corner.
Face to face,
Yeah.
YouTube is not gonna help you. Believe me. Have
But
thousands.
by tomorrow,
Have thousands videos YouTube speak about these things now. People don't give a shit. You just want more
Tell her
videos.
the
But
name
you want
of your
face to
channel,
face.
man.
When you look into the eyes,
Yeah.
you can connect with this soul immediately, and people can absorb and feel the energy from you. Can
Get
feel
into
the
the wavelength.
truth.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
but the videos no videos only make people try to stop you if you that's
Well-
dangerous because what we know is a little bit dangerous for the system.
Yes. Well, it depends on what you're trying to tell
Yeah, if
people.
people start to listen to you,
Yeah.
they're gonna
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
you.
Yeah. But for me, if that's
It's not
what
dangerous
happens-
because they don't people don't give a
señorita,
shit.
everything you said
It's
is
not-
gonna be broadcast tomorrow.
No, it's live. It's live.
Oh yeah, people are watching on YouTube now, right now in Brazil.
Yeah. Well,
It's a lot of money in YouTube.
Somebody is.
not a lot of people at the
It's
moment.
just
In
it's
Spain
not, it's
anyway.
not very dangerous.
In Paris.
It's not very dangerous because the people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
People don't
People
care.
are not
Look,
listening that much.
When people start to listen, you're
Yeah.
gonna say you had it
Yeah.
for over your body.
Well, yeah, but hopefully the message gets out to enough people. And at the end of the day, you only have to reach one of those 10 people. Hey, that's why you talk to 10 people, because you want to reach that
That's
one.
why you got on now,
Right?
because you're
Yeah.
on the same wavelength.
You want to reach that one.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But I want more than
Señorita,
one.
see the police
How long
there.
are you in England?
I want to live here a little bit longer too.
Come here every
to help
Sunday.
most people I can.
This goes on every Sunday. We're here every
But
Sunday.
because I come here to study English first, before
Come
talk
here,
to
your
people.
English will improve. After 3 months, you'll be English perfect.
It's so sweet.
Then you say, soy di England.
How you deal with people because this level of mind is where you are
This
now. This
gentleman
position
is
it's
not
it's not
English.
easy to connect with people in the street where you go like work or you do like simple
Explain
things
your
supermarket.
experience. She's asking.
How is for you, Philippe? Because for me, in the beginning, it's
really
hard,
had an experience.
Very.
to deal with people. You
Yeah.
deal the day.
Yeah, but people are very difficult to deal with here anyway. I mean, in London, it's hard to kind of connect to people and connect with people. So, and often I find that the best way to do that is to be back at where you come from. Because where you come from is where you're best connecting to people because you speak their language. Like, I would love to go around Europe and tell people about the truth about the thing. But if I can't speak their language, I'm going to really struggle to connect with them. So it's me being able to communicate
But with the
effectively.
English is a little is international.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's getting better and better. So I
Where are you from originally?
I was born in England, but my parents raised me in South Africa. So I spent 25 years there, 25 years here.
Yes, I'm Brazilian. I'm here recently.
How long have you been in England?
8 months.
8 months. Okay. And you're going to stay longer?
Yes, I will live here.
Oh, okay. Well, we should get together for a conversation. Some more. Chat some more. Well, I have family and all that sort of thing, but to share information with people who are like on the same wavelength, it would be good.
Yes, it's good. I'm really happy when I meet somebody they understand my point of view, my view, the things I
If you've got 10 minutes, my wife and my baby are just over here if you want to come say hello.
Oh yes, I have to go now. But
Yeah.
maybe you're
Next
here
time.
every
Almost every second Sunday. I got a YouTube channel called Trinity 4. Trinity 4.
Watch Trinity 4 tomorrow night. You are there.
I'm gonna.
You are there. Your whole discussion.
Yeah, this conversation will be on, and hopefully people have been.
Don't worry, I'm going to watch it too.
Yeah. Well, actually, YouTube is a good tool, but you can't stay there. It is about actually you've got to find yourself.
Yeah, it's
If you spend too much time listening to YouTube,
He's on everybody's film too.
It's a bit geeky, isn't it? It's a bit geeky.
Check in
You have to go out and
YouTube. You are there millions of times. Wallahi. I see you every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I sit in the office. No, in my office, there's YouTube just going on.
That's a throw for you. Yeah. I'm live at the moment. You'll be able to see yourself.
You've been watched, maybe in Brazil, by
That's
your
why-
cousin.
Yeah, that one there. Is that one? If you go,
Is that live?
is that live? That's me.
Yeah, that
live
is
there.
live.
Yeah, you see that?
This is right now.
Live.
No, it's me.
Really nice to
Nice
meet
to
you.
meet
All the best. Yeah, all the very
I've
best.
been to Brazil.
Oh, so well, I definitely like to. Yeah. You thought, no, well, they speak Portuguese.
هذا بنت من برازيل
They speak Portuguese.
تتكلم لغة البرتغيزي.
Portuguese.
See you, Senorita.
Well,
We need to get more people like that.
yeah. it's oh, guys, that was a lovely lady. Well, you got to say that's a very attractive lady. I can't help myself but be impressed by that young lady. How are you doing, my friends? I haven't had time to look at the chat. Hi, Barry. Yeah. Activists, yes. I don't know where the other activists are. Roxanne and Co. Where are you guys today? It's the last Sunday and I don't see anyone here.
Sir, do you have some sun cream on? Be careful,
We don't wear sun cream. when
because
we're
your melanin is a bit lower than mine.
smart. We don't wear sun cream when we're smart.
You know the flat earth will only over there, not on this, the skin cancer bit. Yeah,
at
that's
this.
what I was saying.
Oh, what's
I was trying to tell that senorita to come here and see your
my artwork?
your idea.
No, this was me. This was me.
Eh?
This was me.
Hey, you graffiti artist,
Well,
polluting the park.
graffiti, yeah.
You better
Artists.
get arrested for damage to the public.
Yeah, ruining the public walkways.
The Queen's land.
Look, I just tripped over your trip hazard. Hey, it's Josh. Hello, Josh.
Hello, gents. All right.
All right, mate.
This is what we reported to Priti Patel, the Home
Yeah,
Secretary.
it's against the Queen's.
It's the Queen's parade here. What were you done?
What was that lady's name? The Brazilian. Did you see the
no.
Brazilian I was chatting to? Oh my.
No idea, but that's her privacy. But I told you, the bit I said earlier on in this video is in Arabic about her. So go and speak to an Arabic speaker, it will tell you where she comes from. If you understand what I said in Arabic. هذا بنت من برازيل.
I'm wondering about the audio quality. And, I don't know.
Don't worry, I've checked all your videos, they come out good.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't have internet here. I have got a couple that can do it, but I'm not with it. I have two.
Are you drug dealer? Only
No.
drug dealers have two.
One for family and one for ourselves. Yeah, the phone calls.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, I have a third one at home for work people.
All right. You have a daughter. You work during the day.
Yes, I do.
You want to
I won't tell you what. No. Right, you text him and get me. You know the system.
Yeah.
The senorita was saying about the system.
Yeah.
Well, the system will come after you if you plug anything. I told her to be careful
It's funny actually.
what
I
she
had
speaks about here
Yeah.
to who. I said this gentleman is a very safe, kind person, and I was telling her, be careful who you speak to. You filming this, man? Don't do. She's gonna find out what I said.
No, well, actually, what she was saying is very fascinating. No, I can't turn it off. No, there's 30 people watching. Or is that 20? I can't see. Oh, well, that's what this is about.
You know what she said to me? She said, "You're one of them."
Yeah, she's right. Because really, when you look like that girl, you got to know that that's what's going to happen all the time.
I wasn't looking. Listen, I went up to her because they speak Portuguese.
Right.
And I understand a bit.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
That's how I learned. Anyway, my friend,
I'm going to take a little break.
take care.
Yeah.
I will see you in a few minutes.
All right. Yeah. Catch you later. I've had to put a little bit of chalk down here See if I can get a little bit of attention. NASA fakes moon landings and outer space. I'm probably going to get Steve to tell me off because he's around. Someone did this. Obviously, I have no idea who did this. By the rivers of a band of nothing, where we sat down. The Earth is not a globe. It's a right flat Earth, and it really gets people's attention.
Audio sounds good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Really
Okay,
good, yeah.
thanks,
Really
Josh.
good.
This is Josh, by the way. He's a
Hello
pal.
guys, I'm not used to talking into the camera, so
Welcome to the camp.
first time for everything.
Josh, it's what, 3 years since you found out about the flat Earth?
Yeah, early 2016, so yeah.
In Australia?
Yeah, Australia.
Some
yeah.
Scottish dude said, "Oi, ye, look here, the Earth isn't a ball, you silly." Fine. If I get too close to the trees, I lose my signal, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Get the right kind of attention.
Yeah. No, hopefully it's the right kind of
Good
thing.
kind of attention.
Yeah, not bit. Hey. Conflagration. There's a complaining going on. Water levels. Have you ever looked into this idea that water, we've never been able to measure any curvature on the globe Earth? The globe Earth is meant to be curving at 8 inches per mile squared, yet we can't find any curvature. Have you looked into that at all?
What did you say to like the people?
Actually, when we Google satellites in space, we find that we can't find a single photograph of a satellite in space. All we find is like an artist's rendition of a satellite in space or a CGI. When it comes to actual photos from space, NASA themselves admit that they got no real photos. It's all imagery. What they do is they say that they take a satellite of London Marathon, for example, real time of a satellite from space, zooming in and seeing that happening, whilst at the same time, or 20 minutes later, being able to film something in Australia. But actually, when we start to pick it apart, the whole ISS thing starts to look very feeble, like the water tank that they use for testing, doing the spacewalks. That's the same water tank they use for doing the actual spacewalks, but they use a blue screen behind it to fake being in outer space, which is why no camera has ever 360 in outer space. No cameraman has ever, at the beginning, curvature. I found the globe at 25,000 miles in circumference to be 8 inches in a mile square. The rest will be level and actually horizontal with every other body of water on Earth. That's why we build with water. We use for level design to measures. A bit of JFK shoot. I don't for shot, and everything that comes from that about controlling the mind. Same as the moon landings. They pulled that off YouTube and film state, but they could never have taken a rocket more than 30 miles, 40 miles then. And I don't think we can go much further than that, actually. Because once the higher you get up, so those are the two things. 9/11 wasn't done as I was believed through the National Geographic and the BBC versions of how it went out, I was really angry with him because I was like, that's bullshit, man. ISIS are bad and they're beheading people and they're doing all these terrible things. How could the Americans be funding that? And of course, I knew that in Angola when I was a kid at 19 years old in 1987, that it was the Americans that were alongside us, the CIA with their anti-aircraft Stinger missiles that were shooting down the Russian planes that were bombing us. So I know that the Americans, or the you know, it's budget, the Black Ops are an atheist, hard-boiled atheist, just 4 or 5 years ago. Then I had a pine, like a ayahuasca, Stephen. Sorry, Hawking, yes, but I was thinking more of Christopher Hitchens.
Oh, right.
Like he was, you know, the true meaning of what this creation is. Even religion is designed to rob you of the truth of that. Actually, it's got a lot of good stuff in it. It's got a little bit of poison, just a little bit of poison to fuck you up. And but that's bullshit. Really, that's just poppycock. How do you go from I dropped something to the floor to now you can walk on the underside of something?
I mean, is it not to do with the ball itself being the source of the gravity? So you're attracted to the centre. It's the centre of mass.
Yeah.
And that's the direction of the force. So it doesn't matter where you are on the ball.
So how do you explain then relativity? How does relativity work for you?
What? So, general or special?
General.
That's to do with perspective. I don't do physics.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. But it's something to do with perspective. So it's something moving to you experiences time in a way different to you.
So in a way, what it does, general relativity, is it always makes me on the top. It always puts me on the top of the ball. So if I was to say that everything is curving down from me, that means that you're lower than me. However, in your reality, you're higher than me, and I'm somewhat lower than you because I'm further down the side of the ball. Now, that can't work for all of us. The ball could only, if you were a computer gamer, and you had a globe that you were running on, like my kid used to play on a Galaxy, Mario Galaxy. And as he ran on the globe would sort of roll underneath his feet, and he would always remain on the top of it, rather than actually having to run on the underside of it. But if he did have to run on the underside of it, it would mean that other people were at the same time. But rather, if you allow for it to roll all the time with you, then everybody else is being screwed up because the ball must be moving for them too as you move on it. And that doesn't make sense in reality. You know, in reality, when I look at something in the distance, it seems like it's gone down, but I know that that's just the perspective of something. Yeah. So those people walking away from us, as they get further and further away, so they get smaller and smaller and smaller. And if this is a straight, flat cricket pitch going for 10 miles, eventually they would disappear into the straight and flat. And that's exactly how this world works, but they've used that, everything's getting smaller and shrinking down to convince us that actually ships are going over the side of it, or going off the edge of a ball.
But when a ship sails towards you from the horizon,
Yes.
you see the sails before the bow.
Correct. But then in perspective, you always see the tallest thing first, right? So the tallest part of the mountain is what you see from the distance. You don't see the foothills around the mountain until you get very close. Yeah? Like that building over there, it's 15 stories high, right? So if we were 10 miles away from London, we would possibly see the very top of that building. Even if there were no trees and nothing else obscuring that, it would take us getting much closer until we saw lower and lower down the building. That's not because it's curving, but that's the nature of perspective. If you think about the poles along the side of the train line, as you look into the distance, they just get smaller and smaller, but we know that's a level track, and we know the poles are all the same height. But they're going to get smaller, but it's the top of the pole that we're going to see last. Because it's the tallest thing that is seen first, which is why the mast, the crow's nest is at the top, because he can see land first, right? So it works in the opposite. You can see the crow's nest first as it comes towards land.
I'm not sure, I mean, I don't agree.
Okay.
That's the long and short of it.
That's okay.
But
it took me months, actually.
Sure.
And then when I started looking in 2015, there was very few people kind of talking about this topic, and it was a while before I was like, shit, maybe I'm... But it really has... Only person who's going to convince you that you've been deceived, because really this is what it comes back to. It doesn't matter so much. I've called this thing today, does size, does shape really matter? And in some senses it matters an awful lot, in other senses it doesn't matter at all, because you go about your day it doesn't matter that the earth isn't moving, it doesn't matter that it's the sun that's going over your head so much, but psychologically it matters an awful lot, because when you realize that, oh, actually this was all created for us. There is no great universe out there with aliens and other vast things that we're going to need a government to protect us from. We don't need a religious order to protect us from, because we are perhaps the creator having an experience of ourselves. So there's no need for other authority, if you like, the science authority that I used to believe in, because when you were 5, 6 years old, you had your senses stolen from you. When they said to you and me, little Johnny, you don't feel like you're moving at the moment, and it doesn't seem like the sky is moving, but in fact we're moving at 700 miles an hour, faster than the speed of sound, but your senses are lying to you. So the same way as when our parents tell us that Santa Claus is going to visit all the children, we're given this idea of believing things that seem supernatural, that are beyond our ability to comprehend. Even now I can't comprehend how Santa Claus really gets around for all those children. It's amazing, isn't it? But the same is true as how a ball works, and how when we know that in reality, if I poured water on the outside of this container, it would simply fall to the floor. There's nothing that I could do to get that water to attract to that bottle, and there's nothing that I could do to get the water to form rivers and then start running from the underside of that bottle. And the only things that could walk on the underside of this bottle would be ants, creatures that had some kind of sucker and they were super light, and they weren't being pulled by their own natural density in this environment. Because we live in a gaseous environment. This is an ether that we live in, and we have a certain density. So we weigh a certain amount. If I go up, say, a kilometer or a mile to a city like Johannesburg, which is way above this level, I actually become lighter in the course of the same day. And that's not because I've become lighter or gravity's now weaker, because I'm a mile higher from the core that's 4,000 miles down, when we've only drilled 8 miles. But anyway, it's 4,000 miles down, and 1 mile up I go, and all of a sudden I weigh 2 kilograms less. No, this is about the density and buoyancy, and as the air gets thinner, I become more buoyant, or as the air gets thicker, I become more dense. As the water becomes more dense, then I become more buoyant. So we float, things either float or fall, depending on their buoyancy and density. So
we've got to go really soon. But could you tell me who you are and what it is you're trying to do? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Let me get that.
You good to go?
Yeah.
My name is Dave, but I have a channel called Trinity 4, the number 4. And I'm out and about trying to tell people that they've been lied to about everything by their controllers, by people who run this game, this system of ours. And then once we know that there's a game and a system in play, that we are perhaps the higher divine beings, and we've had that hidden from us. Once we know that, then we can start to live our lives in far more beautiful, esoterically kind of enriched ways, rather than being these material beasts of labor or burden, who are just interested in material and corporeal type of satisfaction, rather than something much more higher, much more spiritual, rather than just seeking out the next shag or the next alcohol or the next whatever, or the next buck, as it were. There's something far more divine, and we are eternal beings, by the way. There's no death. When you leave this life, you continue on in some sort of eternal thing. 4 years ago, I didn't believe any of that shit. I was a hard-boiled atheist. Then the ayahuasca experience changed that all for me. And then I found out that the earth is probably not a ball, more likely to be flat. So look into it. There's no curvature. It's meant to be 8 inches per mile squared, which is 800 inches over 10 miles. It doesn't exist. It's not there. So you are, my friends, I'm here to tell you, you are divine. You are the creator, perhaps, and you're meant to have this beautiful experience. So you're young men now. I hope you go and have a fantastic life with that knowledge.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
All the best.
Thank you.
All the best. Cheers.
See you.
Bye-bye. Are we still there? How's that audio working for you guys? Maybe I need to go and people are avoiding this heat. Maybe that's what it is. But if I go too close to those trees, I'll lose my signals. I feel a bit like the activists out in is it Vancouver, the Canadian guys. Where does Mac live? Because they're laughing at first. And then eventually they realize we're serious. I'm using this rig that Andrea went and got for me. I wasn't going to get it this week actually, but other bills that should be paid. But she, brave girl, decided that other bills weren't going to get paid. We were going to take the money that we'd been given by Joe and by Drew and throw a little bit more in. And we got this rig. It includes a camera, an LED light source, which I don't need today. Hopefully, in due course, it will become more useful. As I said in the name of this, does shape really matter? Of course, I think that shape matters.
They say the sacrifice Abraham provided in the place of his son was a lamb.
Shape matters. And I am still a man though, and so the shape of that Brazilian lady earlier on was remarkable. And she was super awake.
And that's why you have believed the lie. Has
Awake. Where's Roxanne?
That's why all those born of the devil
I shared this.
believe the lie.
They like this at least.
Has God said?
I'm actually that person who keeps unliking everything. So I put an invitation out to a picnic today. Not a lot of people have responded. However, somebody unliked that video. It's 1 minute long and somebody unlikes it. I must have a lover. What's wrong with
I'll find out who you are.
you? Yeah?
Could be Alfie Bow. I'm from you. Oh, no, the boy. Oh, you. Stand in front of oh, solo. Oh, the mirror. Standing front
Ronald, my man!
That one cornetto, give it to me. Yellow the mirror standing Lovely to see you. I'll find out who you are. Tell him it's all running, what do you want to tell him?
Yeah! Oh, Ronnie! It's now or never. This is where all the action is.
So who are we? This is the illusion.
Yeah, that's it.
This is the thing. I don't think it's as clear.
That's the thing that will never like get figure. I've got people requesting it. Thank you.
Anyway, yeah, about Republic and democracy. Like the ring?
Yeah, it's not there.
15 euros.
Can I kiss it?
It's ring kissing.
Yes, my son. Anyway, what I was saying. Republic and democracy. Well, if you go for the first democracy, yeah, the Greek democracy. And yeah, you're saying that you want to keep the part where the citizens choose what has to be done, but you don't want to keep the part where women are not citizens, and slaves are not citizens, and artisans are not citizens, and foreigners are not citizens, and some more people are not citizens, basically. So only like maybe 5% of the population are citizens. Well, maybe 10. In terms of Athens, it was like 10-20.
40,000 men out of 150,000 people who were citizens.
Where? In Athens?
In Athens, yeah.
In Athens. In Sparta it was far less. In Sparta it was far less because in Sparta... Oh, no, it wasn't the democracy, but the citizens, like the nobles in Sparta, would kind of function more or less like the democracy, because they would, you know, influence the king into committing a certain choice. They would be like the advisors of the king. So yeah, you're right, it wasn't a democracy. You got me there. In Britain, here in Britain. Well, I think we should keep the system that there is, only make minor changes here and there. For example, I think one of the bad things that is going on now is that the House of Lords holds a bit too much power.
So you should be elected in the House of Lords?
Not necessarily. I think the House of Lords should just be taken with a bit more of a grain of salt. No, but seriously, it should have a bit less power to implement their laws. Because basically, the House of Lords are nobles, and they're not elected. They are nobles. They come there by blood. They're there by blood because they are descendants of somebody important. And the thing is, those people, they don't have any interest in actually improving the situation greatly. The only interest they have is in maintaining the status quo over and over and over again. And if some people suffer, as long as you can maintain that status quo, it doesn't matter for them. They don't have any, big investment into the population, into the well-being of the population. The Queen? Well, the Queen is maybe I'll get shot for this, but I don't think the Queen decides all that much nowadays. The Queen kind of is a last resort. Because I think, at least from my perspective, I might not be correct, of course. I don't have the perfect opinion of British politics, so this is just my opinion. I have less conviction in this. I think, as far as I see it, the House of Lords is the actual source of power in Britain. That's the main part of power. The Parliament is, of course, important, but it all, of course, depends on the House of Lords, because the people in the Parliament are elected, and the House of Lords have that power indefinitely. So basically, they can accumulate that influence as long as they live. And the politicians can't. The politicians have a very limited time.
You say you're not very invested in British politics. What about European?
I am a bit invested. I'm not incredibly invested. I do know the basics of it.
What kind of system should Europe have with Ukraine?
Okay, Ukraine. Well, definitely not the one we have now. Right now, I think Ukraine is still an oligarchy, mostly. It was an oligarchy before the revolution. And right now, I'm having a few doubts because this president kind of is trying to change some things, but at the same time, he's still...
Flat Earth.
Yeah. What's
I've been Birmingham. James.
Oh, James.
How you doing?
You come along to come along to talk on Flat Earth, or just?
Or just have a look, see who's down there.
Okay. All right. Well, my wife's here. My little boy. This is Andrea, Alexander, James.
Look, that's why I don't like when you compare...
Are you going to any conventions coming up?
There's a couple, convention, yeah.
Couple next month.
There are, yeah. I actually was going to talk at one of them, the one in Birmingham.
Oh, yeah.
But I've stepped away from that. Yeah.
Stepped away from the convention,
yeah. Just
the organisation.
Well, I mean, I like the organizer Robin, but just the energy of it wasn't right for me, James, to be honest. But I'm still obviously. I think that the shape of the earth matters. The shape of the earth matters, even though these folks don't agree. The shape of the earth definitely matters to me.
I think it's important that people dismiss it, or they say it's not important.
Yeah, but I can't I can't put my stall out and just be like, all I talk about is flat earth. There has to be a lot more to
how about the dimensions?
Because if anything, what they like doing is they want to keep you in this argument about which religion or which shape or which whatever, and I think that this is part of the trick is they keep you, instead of doing that inner work, having time for yourself, you end up being out here fighting over the fucking religion that you believe in.
You can become obsessed with it,
belief.
can't you?
Yeah.
You're not doing what's right, you're not doing what's important in life, you're just, obsessed with convincing people the earth is flat.
And you might as well be focused on gambling. or sports, Formula One or pornography. It doesn't really make much difference. If you end up spending all your time focused on trying to convince people of something, whether it be Christianity or Islam or flat Earth, then you're going to lose all your energy on. It's like over-shagging. You know, too much sex. You're going to damage yourself by having too much. Losing too much
Everything
energy.
in moderation.
Everything in moderation. Temperance.
So what's your objective? What's your main idea?
I don't know actually. I'm just going to go with the flow, James. I really don't know what's fucking hell. I mean, my life I thought was done it all she wrote, but now we realize that the shit is happening. Shit is changing. This world's in a state of flux. Is there going to be conflict to come? Who knows? Is there going to be some great awakening next year? Like
There's a lot of stuff we don't actually know, isn't it?
Yeah.
We only know the tip of the iceberg. Right? There's a lot of undiscovered information out there.
So it's one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. Who knows exactly where we're going to go? But if we're not spending enough time doing the work on ourselves, that inner work, then whenever that day comes, when your maker calls you,
But what is that inner work? What is it? What is it inner work?
Inner work. Well, okay. So, like simply put it very simply, we're talking about meditation. Talking about looking after your body. We're talking about looking after your mind and your soul. That's the inner work. Hey?
Yeah, but how do you do it?
Okay, so I'll give you the antithesis of that. The opposite of that would be is if I spent all of my time focused on the horse racing versus spending some of my time focused on my own calming my own mind, making my body well, making my soul well. So just think of you as like an electrical conduit to the Creator. If you think of yourself as that, but everything that you've been given while you've been here has been to sully that, to dirty it, to damage it,
But
to break it.
I'm just wondering whether when you concentrate on the inner work that you said, it's the same like gambling or like flat earth or like a religion that or whatever you horse racing. It's just another thing that you are just concentrating in, and you're going down that hole, which is the same. Like, why is it not the same?
Okay, so let me put it to you rather like this: that this game that we live in is doing its best to give you lots of entertainment, lots of things to distract you. Yeah. So you've got to think, what's it distracting me from? If you realise that it's doing that, then the why and the what is it distracting you from becomes important.
But don't you end up doing nothing?
That's
like
what Bill Cooper used to say, didn't he? He's like the emperor wants to keep the masses entertained.
Yeah.
He builds the Colosseum. Yeah. He gives them sports and distractions and entertainment, but they're distracted away from the real issues in life. And we have to realise that.
Yeah. While Rome burns. Now you could say that what they're doing is they're exploiting the system, or exploiting us, keeping us busy, keeping us under stress, keeping us under pressure,
I agree,
all that sort of thing. But there's a reason for that. There is a reason for deceiving people about all these different religions, and that is because within us is actually the spark of the divine Creator. And if all of us, or if some of us, were to live like that, live in that sort of Christ-like, Muhammad-like, Buddha-like way, if more and more of us lived in that kind of inner-centered way, then we would find a much less willing slave class here. People would be far less willing to go to work every day, pay all these taxes, give up most of their kind of healthy life, the 20s to 60s period of their life. They give that away to a corporation that doesn't care about them.
True.
So this is, I think this is what we lose, is that we lose that sense of we're meant to be on our own journey rather than spending our entire time from 9 till 5 or from 6 in the morning till 6 at night sweating for something else or someone else.
But why though? The reason, which is very important. Why would one want to do if they want to create this game? For what? What is the reason? Is it money?
Well, there's a few reasons I could think of. Well, you could say it's about money, but they print money.
But they do the money that, exactly.
They print the money.
It's not,
So it's not about the money. Money's just the oil. Money's the grease. Money's the tool that they use.
In fact, they probably don't use money. We use the money. They don't need to use money.
They have no need
so it's
for
not money.
Because they've been given all of this stuff. So I say that there's a couple of things that I say about that. There's the why. The why is...
Well, like what I hear, are you a flat earther as well?
Well, the science is important.
I'm looking especially today for flat earth to ask them know the reason why would they lie the Earth is flat.
Okay. Well, why would they lie about the religions, for example? We've got different religions that compete with each other. So, as a form of control.
No, let's keep it on flat Earth because the religion is more complicated.
Okay. Well,
we need to.
Okay. I was going to make the connection to religion because the belief in gravity is religious. Gravity, other than for dropping something on the floor, we can't prove that it's going to then form a big ball and eventually.
The summary of one of his
I'm going to cut the feed there. I must have. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know how much you lost of that.